Hi, I'm Vedrana and this is Miri, and we would like to invite you for a walk. No matter if you are running an organization or entire business, or if you need to pick and choose the technology in these turbulent times of AI era, or you need to focus on your personal professional career. It is a challenging time, and there is no better thing when we are facing so many decisions than to talk with interesting people who are knowledgeable and have a lot of experience. And there is one better thing: you can talk to several people like that. So we will be inviting our guests in a new podcast called Walk Your Talk. Join us. So, our very first guest, and I'm super thrilled because I have a legend here with me. Person who have been working with so many different technology vendors over the years. And I think that even the geographies that Dinko you covered are like really vast and tremendous. And one more thing I would like to add, why I'm so exciting, is that in this era when openness is so important, you now represent a company that very often when we say open technology, we think about Red Hat. So Dinko Eror, Red Hat Vice President, and Miri, of course, if we don't remember that we have her here, is with us. Can you share a couple of things about yourself first?
Absolutely. First of all, I'm so happy that we are talking at home.
Yeah.
That's not very often the case for me, because I do the global business around the globe.
Okay.
And having this talk with you and your team in Zagreb is a big pleasure.
It's
for
an
me. And
opportunity
also,
for yourself.
a big pleasure for me is to bring my company, myself, together with your company. As you know, I like to work with all partners, but of course, CROZ as a very international partner for my company is something special.
Thank you so much.
I was born in Karlovac. I studied here in Zagreb. We are doing this talk. I moved to the Western Europe, was living in Switzerland and Germany, and my entire life, working life, I live in Germany, but my entire life I do the European or global job. And I have been always asked what is the difference, and I say nothing. I really mean that seriously. The business in Japan and Australia and Europe and Adriatic region is just the business, is always about the people, and then processes, and then technology. Okay. And you mentioned open source, open culture. I really believe it's a good technological question, but in this geostrategic situation today, I would suggest to take this openness to solve these geopolitical issues.
Yeah, which is super important nowadays. So, to the point from the first minute. And so you already maybe mentioned, but and maybe I sense where your answer to my next question is going. But we really like Nassim Taleb, who will be speaking at our conference, and he said that what was here with us 30 years important and what is still valid, there is a big probability that those things will stick. So you yourself are not an old person, but you have been in the field for some time. What would you say that still works in business in those 30 years before and in the future? Is that then people or technology, or what's your answer?
First of all, I think he's very right, and you can be proud that you have him as a guest. It's unbelievably cool. I would like to go a step back, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
And that's the story which I will not tell the first time, but I love it. We had 5 years ago only verbal communication, and we still have it.
Okay.
Then Gutenberg started to print the stuff, and we still have it today.
Yes,
and then radio and television came, and we still have it today.
Yeah.
And then internet came, and cloud and all of that.
Yeah.
And not only that we have all of that, we have a beautiful combination of,
really great.
of that.
I love it.
And I believe that will stay. The new stuff will come, and I appreciate that some people are afraid of some new stuff. But there are three things which I believe will stay. The first one is all about human beings and trust to each other. With full respect to technology, I'm a technologist as you are. At the end of the day, we make the business, people with people. Yes. And we still own AI and not vice versa. Yeah. So the people and the trust is important. The second one, and I was a little bit looking also on your history, what is special for CROZ? You was always customer focused, you gave them stability. Somebody has to manage this complexity. And I believe this need to manage the complexity for the customer will stay in the future. And then I also learned, just recently, the last 4 weeks, I took a little bit break to learn the new AI stuff. I learned all this tool, all this.
That's important. We need to highlight it.
All these applications.
Okay.
I was able to really to use the code vibing to do a new website of myself. All of that. However, I learned the stable foundation. Whatever you do as a company, as a private person, win against fancy tools. Yes, that's also cool and important. Let's go into a new direction. But human being stability and a good foundation will also win in the future. That's my strongest belief.
Yeah, I really hope you're right, because I think we all hope for that kind of future in which humans are going to interact even more often, having maybe not more time because of technology or whatever. And as you said, that learning and acquiring skill will be so important. In that sense, talking about those humans in your ecosystem, so you have your own team, you have your clients, you have, of course, us partners, so it's a quite large team. And there is a lot of diversity of thoughts of all those people, how they attack, let's say, complex problems. What I really find amazing working with you, how much personal touch or a specific attention you put in each of those relationships. How do you do that? How do you find time? How do you find focus and energy to find, like you just did in this conversation, you really already found all those CROZ elements and put them in your speech. How do you do that? Is there a trick?
Okay. First of all, I see that as a compliment, what you're just doing, not only as a question for this talk. And I want to be open and honest. That's my wish, what you describe, but I'm also not perfect. And I will start with that. I even don't aim to be perfect. The word and the amount of people we deal privately or in business is too big to be perfect. But there are a few things which I do very actively. The first one is I try to learn to listen. We all heard about it. You have to learn to listen.
Active listening,
but I also see daily, in a business but also privately, the people are not listening. They're only listening as short as possible to be able to say what they think in advance. And I trained myself to listen the person. That is giving me better insight, that is helping me to make smart comments or decisions. The second one, that's a little bit a privilege of open source and open culture. We live in diverse collaboration every single day. Every code of our software and then what we do, it's somebody else. And that can be a developer in Zagreb, and that can be investment banker in New York, and that can be a software developer in Asia working together. That's unbelievable thing. But then also, I actively think in advance about audience I'm talking.
So you prepare yourself.
I prepare myself. I'm a geek.
No skipping in that,
I'm
right?
not skipping in that. So let me give an example. I always like it. If I go to the customer, I Google the customer. I read his annual report. I look the ecosystem, who is working with this customer. But the most, I appreciate my team or partner team working with this customer. And I use their knowledge. I speak with them. And I am only bringing my general knowledge or knowledge from the similar industry in other countries to this talk. But I will never ever say, I know better as you. I always respect people who know that.
So there is a lot of intention in what you do. So you prepare yourself. Before that, you have like intention to listen. So that's no skipping the lessons, I would say. We cannot do anything by improvising.
I would like to introduce a new term, Dinko's term. I call that slow business and slow leadership. I am going out of the gas. I am taking the time. You know, we all like slow food.
Yes, this is the first thing that dropped into my mind.
And that's exactly the same, but on the leadership and business perspective.
No, but
less is more. I take the time. I read a lot. I think a lot. I reflect a lot. I have a blocker in my calendar to do that.
That's a good tip as well.
And then if I come somewhere, I believe I am prepared as good as I can to do that.
Good, great. Okay, do you want to take it?
No.
Your phone. Okay. And
I'm now focused on you. I am now, the phone is ringing. That's my life.
Take it.
My focus is now that.
Great.
nothing will
Okay.
happen in a few
Okay.
seconds.
Of course, nothing burning. So, and talking about all those territories you cover, and you already said, I was listening, right, too, that wherever you do the business, it's business. But nevertheless, everybody brings something of their own into the business. Do you see a lot of noise coming from all that diversity? Or you just accept it and just try to find a solution and try to just go through that and find it as a value that there are so many different
I believe you was also speaking last year a little bit on the conference about it, and I think a portion of noise is good.
Okay.
That is the source of new ideas,
Okay.
but you cannot leave it spontaneous to be changed in a signal. So you need a little bit channels to do that. So the first thing what I would say is a culture of discussion and learning organization. And you as a leader, you have to channel the noise into the right ways. And I do that. I have a different channels of
That's the
the
job.
communication. I have a regular one-to-ones with my people where I speak about it. And sometimes I simply leave my team to speak. Sometimes to speak
They
too
need it.
much.
Okay.
They need the energy go
Okay.
out.
Okay.
And then it is what we call the meritocracy, that the best idea wins.
Come out. Okay.
Come out.
Okay.
And that was the learning process
So
for
again,
me.
slow and patience.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly.
Okay.
That was a learning point for me in the Red Hat.
Okay.
I came from the traditional big companies as a EDS, EMC, HP, Dell. I came into the Red Hat. In between, I was running a startup in Germany, what was already first good step to learn a little bit, to think more own stuff.
Okay.
And in Red Hat, I learned, not I as a boss are telling we are going left or right.
Okay.
My job is to moderate the discussion, to make a discussion safe place where the best idea is
Coming out.
coming
yes,
out
yeah.
and winning,
Yeah.
even winning.
Okay.
And you would be surprised, in 99% of the cases, I even don't have to make a decision or
They
to
do it
convince
on
them.
their own.
If the
team.
culture is open and if the entire culture is safe place, that everybody feel empowered to say what he or she think or suggest, they accept other ideas and the best
And
idea.
they see that they're the
Only one of 100 cases we don't have an idea which
consensus.
then I as a leader have to make
Need to
this
step
decision.
in.
But then I have so many information, so much insight
it's not
that
hard.
I feel comfortable to make a decision. But that's very rare.
Okay. So moving a little bit from leadership and business to technology, which, as we said, Red Hat is all about. In fact, there is no skipping the elephant in the room called AI, and it's all over the place in our lives, personal ones, but with our clients as well. And I just read your blog, and you were focusing on that. You are putting a focus on that, you personally and the company. So let's start from the human perspective. I know you're a proud father of 2 young adults. What would you recommend those youngsters, maybe hopefully watching this podcast, what kind of knowledge and skills they should acquire to prepare themselves?
It's the most difficult question of the actual time.
Okay.
Just 3 years ago, I said to my son, learn the coding.
Okay.
And obviously, the things are so changing maybe not the most smart thing.
He brushed his skills and his
I can say
logic, right?
only one thing. If I would be again young, what I would do, but I will really avoid, I have 2 beautiful children, but I'm avoiding to tell them too directly AAV. But there are some basics. The first one, what I would suggest young people today, and some of your team is just around us, is to learn a critical thinking.
Great.
Unbelievably important. That's the first thing. The second one, what I believe is really, because the acceleration of everything is so huge, you have to learn how to learn, because you have to learn every day something new. The third thing what I would suggest is struggling a little bit with English word, how you can adopt. Adaptability, is that an English word? Let me assume.
I think everybody will
understand. So you have to change the things. And then the last topic I would surprise you. and that's Dinko's opinion. I will go back and learn philosophy, Latin language, Greek language, culture, theater, meta level, exactly. And there are already some people starting to think about. I believe the broader your base, your fundament is, the better you can adopt them. And then last topic, really and honestly, AI is cool stuff. I do hope we as a society will also solve soon some regulations, some ethic questions is very important. But at the same time is giving us unbelievable chances to improve the life, health, traffic, science, education, business, whatever we do, finance, whatever we do. And I'm really on top of this fundament and adoption and learning and all of that, critical thinking. Please invest concrete time to learn entire stack of AI, which and CROZ is already unbelievably advanced in starting with the infrastructure, then going over the GPUs, over the accelerators, inference, up to agentic AI, to the different software and tools around it. Learn as much as you can. It is here to stay and not to disappear.
Not to be avoided.
And I was thinking about something else. Not everything will be AI, and it is not needed. If you have a SAP and it is working, you don't have to change everything. So I'm encouraging our partners, and you are one of the most international partners for me. Stay also by the things which are already doing good.
As you said in the beginning, right? There is still television.
There is still television. So there will be all still server and software and SAP and We also cannot forget what we have. We have also to modernize and develop this and learn the new stuff, and the connection of both will make our lives better.
So talking about connections. So you spend a lot of time, I know, with businesses, with clients, with chief information officers, chief technology officers. I said on many occasions in the last 2 years that I think it's the super heavy time for all of those people to make the decisions nowadays. How we can support them? How can we help them to do their jobs better, so to serve the end clients, the people who use their services or their products?
I would say one of the most difficult business jobs, actually, every job is not simple. If you are a doctor or teacher, it's not simple. But being CIO, so somebody in a company, whatever the company is doing, responsible for digitalization and IT, is maybe the most difficult thing, because your board, your CEO, your owners want everything immediately. Now. And then at the same time, they are reducing your headcount, your budget, and at the same time, a bunch of the companies want to sell you something. And
it's life.
As much as I see a lot of new generation CIOs coming, there is one thing which is missing, and I'm inviting you to work with us, but also with your other partners, and you do that already with some of our partners, back to the collaboration. What we do today too much is, I'm going to CIO telling him my product is the best. You are going telling your service and your product in your software is the best. What I'm suggesting CIOs to go away from one-to-one discussions to end-to-end discussions, to invite 5, 10, 15, doesn't matter, different companies on the table. And not allowed to speak about any single product of any company, but from the customer perspective, where the customer is today, where they want to go, what has to be done on the infrastructure level, on the people level, on the process level, on the software level, on the AI level, and then in the open dialogue find a roadmap for the customer, and then after that we have to go through all legal processes. We can go into competition or partnership to each other, but what I am missing today on the CIO level is this awareness. They cannot survive alone, we cannot survive alone, we need better collaboration. And if you want, our open source culture and open source approach can be a little bit replicated in the collaboration to help these guys who really have a difficult job to make it better.
I think this is absolutely great. I think that the synergies and the collaborations have been the magical point that led to this level of technology.
But I'm also offering you,
yeah.
Vedrana, as a CROZ also to, and any of such companies as you are.
Yes.
I'm not exclusively talking about you, but I collaborate with you, so it's normal that I mention you. You can take a lead in this role.
Okay.
You can bring the vendors together. You can bring us on the table of the customer that we speak together. And I would say one last topic, also a little bit for Adriatic market. We need to move CEOs to be more digital. So that is where I'm not very happy. I believe they have to transfer. They use iPhone and they believe that's digital.
They will need to be those kids who need to learn all of the things you just
being
said.
digital, being AI means you are moving the interaction with your end customers in the digital way, and there is no interruption in the process. So, and the same collaboration I suggested to CIO, we need also CEO, CIO, CFO collaboration within the end customer companies that you and I are serving together. That is where I'm not very happy. I believe they have to be faster, they have to learn. Otherwise, the big few cloud companies will win in everything, in banking, in healthcare, in production. And I don't want that. I don't want to live in the world where 3, 4, 5 big companies are dealing with everything. I want a diversity of nature, I want a diversity of people, and I want a diversity of businesses.
Great. Well, that's even maybe the best ending quote. So thank you so much, Dinko. I think for me this was super interesting. Hopefully for our people watching us or following us, thank you so much, and hope to see you super soon again.
Thank you very much for being our great partner. Thank you very much for bringing me today here. I wish you much success in everything what you do, but I wish you also a lot of success with your conference in May.
And then we hope there will be sunny, not the typical Zagreb fog.
I am pretty sure Zadar will shine for you. Much success. Thank you.
So, if you liked our conversation, if you would like to hear more of those, please join us at our conference QED in May in Zadar. Or if you need to check another episode, please follow us on the link here.